So there was once a fire at the dock, and it was one of these what do they call it? 5-alarm fires, and the fire company from the local fire department, they came out with their hook and ladder with their fire engines. They couldn't put out the fire. Nobody could get close to the fire, and so a neighboring town, their fire department came, and they couldn't get close to the fire. And there were several communities came with their fire department. Nobody could get close enough to even put out the fire. And then all of a sudden, there was the Jewish Men's Volunteer Fire Department. They're an amateur, a bunch of guys got together and they bought a fire truck on eBay. And they had a Jewish Men's Volunteer Fire Department. Mostly they get together at night and play cards together, but once in a while there's a fire and you have to go. So the Jewish Men's Volunteer Fire Department, they come racing down the pier, they come toward the dock, the warehouse is on flames, and all the other fire departments are sort of parked around as close to the blaze as they can get. And the Jewish Men's Volunteer Fire Department, their engine just came racing toward the fire, and they raced past everybody else, and they went right into the middle of the flames, and they ended up putting out the fire. So afterwards they interviewed the captain of the Jewish Men's Volunteer Fire Department, Captain Goldberg. See, Captain Goldberg, the mayor is awarding the Jewish Men's Volunteer Fire Department with $20,000 for being so brave and heroic and racing right into the middle of the flames. What are you going to do with the money? And Captain Goldberg says, well, the first thing we're going to do is fix the brakes on that truck. Okay, so you see the theme here. You see the, yeah? Okay. What's the theme? I know I'm in San Francisco, right? This is San Francisco, right? Sometimes I travel around and sometimes I lose track. Yeah, but this is, I can feel that I'm here. I can feel the love, right? I wore a flower in my hair, by the way. Because it's San Francisco. And, right, this is the love, the capital of love, yeah. And all you need is love. That's what they said. Yeah, I grew up in the 70s when the hippies started writing parenting books, and they convinced everybody all you need is love. And you see how all the people my age turned out. So apparently there was something other than love. So, okay, this is what I want to explain. There are two basic emotions that are the mainstay of every human relationship. And they are opposite. They are opposite from each other. But in the ideal balanced situation, they complement and complete each other. And they are love and respect. And if you want a really simple explanation, what's love and what's respect? Love is the gas and respect is the brakes. Love is what I do for you. Respect is what I don't do because of you. And you really need to have both. In our relationship with God, in the Torah, we have 613 commandments, but we have do's and we have don'ts. God is our beloved, and there are things He asks us to do for Him, and then there are certain things He says, don't do it because of me, because of our relationship. Don't go there. Don't do it. And the same thing in every single relationship. There are the do's and the don'ts. The love and the respect. Okay. But the question becomes, okay, ideally we're going to have both, but in practice, let's say that we're only going to have one or the other. Or let's say we're going to have one first, and then after we have the one, we're going to work on getting the other. If that's the case, like I said, ideally we have both, but if in practice we have to have one first, which is more important? That's right, and I'm all done. That's it. We can eat dessert. You are 100% correct.
How does having brakes with no gas help you?
What? How does having brakes with no gas help you?
It means you can't move anywhere.
But if you're facing downhill, you're avoiding disaster.
Uphill, you need kind of gas.
Either way, you're avoiding disaster if you're on an incline or decline.
You guys are making too much trouble. Did you invite a bunch of Jews over here? Oh my goodness, if this would be a non-Jewish crowd, a rabbi gets up here and he says, you have to have respect before love, and they say, Rabbi, that's right, and everybody is polite about it. I get up here, talk to a bunch of Jews, and everyone wants to argue with me. Let's take this apart a little bit. Okay. So there's a guy. Why is there a guy? Why? Because that's what I relate to. There's a husband. And he's driving home. And he just wants to go home. He wants to get home. He's tired. And the phone rings, the cell phone. And he sees that it's his wife calling. She's already home. And she says, can you go to the store and pick up the, what? Diapers? Okay, diapers are good, but diapers is too practical. Margarine is something, the classic example would be something that a wife will ask a husband to buy from time to time, but he has no idea what they use it for. Right? Like
Flour.
What? What are the examples?
Fabric softener.
Fabric softener. Okay, fine. So he knows that from time to, he knows what, there's detergent, you have to wash the soap, you have to put soap, you have to wash the clothes. The fabric softener. From time to time he's told to buy fabric soap. He's not sure exactly what it does, what would happen if you don't have it. But apparently it's something that they use because she keeps asking for it, and they must be using it. She keeps asking for more of it. So she says, "Could you pick up the fabric softener? And did you pass the store already?" And he's driving right past it, and all he would have to do is just wait a second, and he would just say, "Yeah, I already passed it." And okay, forget it. Don't worry, I'll go get it tomorrow. But he doesn't do that. He says, "Yeah, the store's right here." And she says, "Okay, can you go pick up the fabric softener?" And he says, "Yes, dear." Which is, by the way, that's the right answer. The right answer is yes, dear. Okay, and he does it. All right. That is love. Now you're going to say to me, "Oh, that's too trivial. That can't be love." Okay, try not doing it one time. Get back to me. You tell me. Tell me what happens. That's love. No, that example is love. Okay. Now here's another scenario. Same guy. He's driving home from work. This time, he actually doesn't want to go straight home. This time, he wants to go to the store. He wants to go to the store to pick up a pint of ice cream. Yeah, he's going to pick up a pint of ice cream. Actually, he has a whole plan. He's going to pick up a pint of ice cream. He's going to come home. He's going to hide it in the back of the freezer, back of the frozen peas, where the kids will never look. And he's going, you know about the hiding spot. And he's going to wait for the oldest kid to pretend to be asleep. And then he's going to take out his pint of ice cream. He's going to sit in his favorite chair. And he's going to eat his ice cream with a spoon. Okay. Don't judge this guy. He's my made-up hypothetical guy. This is what he wants to do. Okay. he's driving, and he turns on the blinker even. He's about to turn into the store. And the phone rings. It's his wife, and she says, "I need you to come home now." And he says,
Yes.
"Yes, dear." Okay, he says, "Yes, dear." And he goes home. Okay, he turns off the blinker, and no story. He goes straight home. Okay. So that little scenario, that is respect. Yeah, that's respect. First scenario, he wants to go home. She says, "Can you make a stop at the store?" And he agrees to do it. That's love. Second scenario, he was about to make a stop at the store. She says, "Come straight home." And he cancels that whole thing and he goes straight home. That's respect. Okay, because love is when I go out of my way for you. And respect is when I get out of the way for you. Love is I do something. Respect is I don't do something. Now, giving is a form of love. Generosity. When I give you my time, or I give you my attention, or I give you a gift, or whatever, that's love. And we all enjoy love. But here's the thing. And I'm going to make a, like a controversial statement, which seems extreme, and then I'm going to try to back up and defend it. My extreme statement is this. We all like love, and we recognize what love is, and it's easy to get behind the cause of love, but here's what I'm going to tell you. Without respect, love without respect, not only lacks respect, it also is not love. Yes, I'll repeat it. Love without respect not only lacks respect, but the love is also not love. Okay, I made a statement. I'm going to have to defend it. Let me defend my statement. Okay. So you know the story about the lox? Okay, the lox.
Yeah.
In Yiddish, I'm saying lox.
Fish.
It's not a plural. A fish, yeah. It's a fish called a lox. It's a singular noun, not plural. Not like in English, keys and locks. No, it's one thing. It's a lox. There was lox and bagels, yeah, but this was pre-bagel. This was a lox was swimming in a stream. We call it a salmon. Yes, in English, a salmon. Yes, okay. But it's not a funny story if you say salmon. You have to say a lox. So there was a lox swimming in the stream. You see how much funnier it is if you say lox? Okay. And he was swimming in the stream. And the fisherman grabbed him in his net and threw him in a bucket. And the fisherman said, "Oh, hooray, I've caught a lox. I'm going to bring him to the king because the king loves lox." So the lox hears this, and he starts to think, well, the fisherman obviously hates lox because he just kidnapped me. But he says the king loves lox, so get me to the king. The king loves me, he's going to treat me right. So he's very excited about the idea of going to this king who supposedly loves lox. They come to the palace, and the guard says, "Who goes there?" And the fisherman says, "I'm here with something very exciting. I have a lox." And the guard says, "Oh, well, come right in, the king loves lox." And the lox hears this, and he says, "Oh, another person is saying that the king loves lox, so get me to the king already." And then they come inside to the palace, they go to the kitchen. And the chef, the royal chef, is in the middle of preparing the king's lunch. And the chef says, "What are you doing?" "I'm busy preparing the king's lunch." And the guard says, "This is the fisherman, he brought a lox." And the chef says, "Oh, that's fantastic, the king loves lox. I'm going to go tell the king right now he's going to have lox for lunch." And the lox hears this, and he's still thinking they mean what they say when they say the king loves lox. He hears this, "I'm going to tell the king that he's going to have lox for lunch." And the lox is thinking to himself, "Wow, could you believe that tonight I'm going to go home, I'm going to tell my wife, you would never guess who I had lunch with today," right? Because he was the chef is saying, "Oh, the king's going to have lox for lunch." That's what he thinks is going to be the guest. Because they're all saying the king loves lox. The king loves lox. This king loves lox so much. I'm the guest of honor. And the king comes into the kitchen and he says, "Oh, what's happening? Oh, we have the lox. Fantastic." And the chef grabs the lox out of the bucket and he puts him on the table and takes his cleaver and boom, knocks his head off. And in his last seconds of consciousness, by the way, don't question the story now at this point. I mean, it came this far. Let's just finish it up. And as the king is standing there and ordering the chef to prepare the lox, and the chef, chops off the lox's head, the lox realizes he's not going to be the king's guest for lunch. He's going to be the king's lunch. He's going to be eaten. The lox says, "King, these people are all crazy. They all say that you love lox. You don't love lox. You love yourself." So how many times do we say, "I love you"? We don't mean I love you. We mean I love myself. And I'm using you to give myself pleasure, security, companionship, a boost of self-esteem, whatever it is, many things we could use people for. But it's not about you, it's about me. I'm using you. Like the king doesn't love lox. The king loves himself. He uses the lox to give himself pleasure. And I'm not saying that's always the case. What I'm saying is, how do we know that it's not the case? How do we know that our love really is altruistic? How do we know it really is selfless? How do I know that when I say I love you, I don't really just mean I'm using you to love myself? It's not very pleasant being accused by someone you love of being selfish, but it is a useful question to ask. How do I know that I'm not being selfish? One very easy way for me to know that I'm being selfish, even though I say I love somebody, is if there's all love and there's no respect. That's a red flag. By the way, they should have known communism was going to fail. There were so many red flags. That's a good joke. Come on. That's a good joke. That's a good joke. If there's love without respect, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Convenience.
It's all about selfishness and selflessness. When I'm giving, when I'm being magnanimous, when I'm being generous, so I feel really selfless, right? Because I'm doing for you. In fact, if I'm giving you and then you accuse me of selfishness, then I'm indignant. Then I'm really upset. How dare you accuse me after everything I've done for you, right? Right? And I mean it. I really mean it. The thing is like this. We're adults. We're grown-ups here. We're mature people. We can be honest. It's fun to do. It's fun to give. You get credit for giving. You get attention for giving. Ta-da, how was it? Not doing?
More attention.
You get no attention. Nobody knows what you don't do. See, if I say something nice to you that made you feel good, I also feel good because I said something nice and you liked it and I saw your reaction. I got the reaction. So, yeah, that was good, yeah. But how about if I don't say something inappropriate? You don't even know what I didn't say. Unless I say to you, oh, by the way, there was something I was going to tell you that was really inappropriate, and I'm not going to say it. Kind of defeats the purpose. We get credit, we get validation, we get attention for doing. We get nothing for not doing. It's the most unglorious part of any relationship, is what you don't do. oftentimes, doing is a sneaky way of taking while it looks like you're giving. You see, because if I do something sweet for you, you owe me. What do I mean you owe me? No, I don't mean in such a crass way. It's not emotional barter. It just, well, yeah, it is emotional barter. I want my validation. You better acknowledge it. And if so help you, if I do something sweet and considerate without being asked, and I don't get acknowledged for that, you're ungrateful. You know, I take out the garbage without being asked. That ought to be noticed. So, by the way, think about any time when we feel burnt out from giving. It's because we weren't really giving, we were investing. You give a guy on the street $1, you don't expect anything back. You give a stockbroker money to invest, and then you ask him, "Where's my money?" "I thought you gave it to me." "No, I didn't give it to you. I invested. I'm supposed to give. In fact, you're supposed not only are you supposed to give it back to me, you're supposed to give it back more, right?" Well, how many times do we engage in an emotional investment? I do something sweet for you, but it's because I'm expecting something back. What am I expecting? I'm expecting the validation. I'm expecting acknowledgement. And when I don't get it, it hurts. See, there's nothing wrong with a compliment feeling good. That's natural. That's like when you put chocolate on your tongue and it tastes good, right? Is there anything weird about when you put chocolate on your tongue and it tastes good? Is there anything wrong with that? No. Is there anything wrong with arranging your day to increase your odds of eating the most chocolate? Yeah, okay, I just want to clarify where the line is. Okay, so if chocolate happens to be in your mouth and it tastes good, that's okay, right? But arranging your day to increase your chances of eating the most chocolate, we're going to agree that that's probably not a healthy way to budget your time, right? What about structuring your entire life around increasing your odds to have the most opportunities to eat chocolate? It'll probably not be. Okay, fine. So hearing a compliment, and it feels good to be complimented, it feels good to be acknowledged. It feels good to be acknowledged. Anything wrong with that? No, just a normal human reaction. Basing my day, scheduling my time, organizing my priorities based on increasing my odds of getting acknowledgement. Not healthy. And what happens is I end up with the resentment. Because I wasn't really giving. I was trying to get. I was doing something so that you would acknowledge it. So what I'm saying is this. I'm not saying all giving is selfish. What I'm saying is that all giving runs the risk of being selfish. All giving runs the risk of being tainted by self-seeking, precisely because we use giving as a polite way of getting. I do for you so that you will give me that powerful hit, that drug called approval. I'm good. I'm good. For now. Right? And then I start feeling like I'm not okay, and then what do I have to do to get some more of that approval? And I have to do another sweet thing, and another sweet thing. Okay. I'm not saying that's all giving. Sometimes giving truly is selfless. But every time we give, we run that risk of really being in it for the feeling it gives us. I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to ask you to judge and to evaluate the wholesomeness of this statement. Abraham Lincoln. You ever heard of Abraham Lincoln? Okay. Abraham Lincoln said, I do good, I feel good. I do bad, I feel bad. That is my religion, nothing more. What do you think about that? Does it sound Jewish?
It's not bad for a Christian, first of all. Not bad for a Christian, for sure.
Not bad for, okay, does it sound, does
Whether
it?
it's okay for a Jew, I have to think
Yeah.
a little more.
Well, let me ask you something.
It's
What if-
it's good absolute or relative?
I don't know.
Feeling good is probably relative, because it's a feeling.
You
That's
should feel
doing
good,
good.
whether you feel good or not for it.
But doing good.
Right, we're supposed to do the law, whether we
Good is
feel
also
good about it.
Okay, so
It could be good for you, but bad for someone else.
I would agree that in Judaism, sometimes you do good, you don't feel good.
No.
You don't have to feel good. Who says you have to feel good? So I do good, I feel good. Sounds very noble. It's actually selfish. And if it wouldn't make me feel good, then I suppose what he's saying is that I wouldn't do it. So I'm loving because it feels good to be loving. Then who am I really loving? I'm loving you or loving myself? If I love you because it feels good to do it, so then who's the love for? Is it for you or for myself? Ultimately, it's for myself. It's to make me feel good. Okay, so you're going to say, well, among all the things you could be doing to make yourself feel good, that's rather benign. Okay, I guess it is rather benign. It's better than saying, I like to punch people in order to feel good. I guess, okay, but let's be honest here. Let's be honest. How often is this kind of undetected selfishness the undoing of a relationship? I'm not here to accuse anyone of being selfish. I'm actually, to the contrary, I'm here to say, if you've ever been accused of being selfish and you felt blindsided by it, like, what the hell, how am I the selfish one? I'm the one who's giving. What I'm trying to do is explain how maybe we can look at that a little bit more objectively, and we can realize, hold on, maybe there's some truth to that. And if there is, then maybe there's something we can do to change. Okay, so when I'm giving, when I'm doing, when I'm loving, I always run the risk that it's for me, it's about me. It's about my acknowledgement. It's about me getting that reaction out of you. Not saying it always is. I'm saying we always run that risk. How do I then, this is the important part, how do I then isolate the variable? How do I find out that I really am selfless? How can I really find out if I really, really care about you and that my relationship with you is not about me, it's about you?
No expectations.
Do what they want without a remorse.
When I can place limits upon myself, when I contain myself, when I withhold, when I withdraw. Self-containment, saying no to myself. Saying no to myself in order to create safe space for you, to give respect, to give consideration to you. That's how I know that my relationship with you is not about how it makes me feel, that my first priority is about how it makes you feel. And then once I have respect in place, then I can do all the loving things, and it's really love. But let me give you an example. Because this is all theoretical until I give an example. A guy, okay, and again, why is it a guy? Because that's what I relate to, but you could reverse the genders if you want to, you can, however you want to make the scenario. A guy comes home 3 hours late for dinner without texting or calling. But he has a dozen roses. Okay. So the fact that he comes through the door with a dozen roses, that's a display of love. That's love, right? It's very romantic, that's generous, that's thoughtful, that's love. The fact that he is late and doesn't even call or text, in other words, whatever it was he was doing, it was so important, he couldn't just stop himself. He couldn't just contain himself and pull himself away from it and That's a lack of respect, right? A lack of limits, a lack of self-containment. So let me ask you this. When he comes through the door, 3 hours late, without calling or texting, and he has the dozen roses, so there's love, but there's no respect. How does his wife react?
She's a woman.
She doesn't like it.
Okay, why doesn't she, what's wrong? Why is she just being, she's holding a grudge now because,
Spoiled.
She understands the.
maybe she should get over it. What's wrong with her?
Yeah.
Why can't she accept the love?
Where will it be for 3 hours?
Hmm?
Where will it be for 3 hours before the roses?
He got caught up at work.
This is the first person
He can
who
call.
asks us where is the guy.
Okay, so he made one mistake. Okay, one thing was not good, but he brought home at least let her enjoy the roses. Why can't she enjoy
Yeah,
it?
wasn't considerate.
Just
Just
leave
leave the guy
for
that with the rose.
I prepare maybe.
Some people suspect that he bought the roses after he realized how late he was. But that's not what happened. No, that's not. That's not what happened. I'm going to tell you what happened.
Million things could happen.
At lunchtime, at noon, he went out for his lunch break, and he saw a guy selling roses on the corner, and he saw the roses, and he bought the dozen roses. In fact, he bought pink roses, because that's what his wife likes, and he had them on his desk, because he's a romantic guy. He likes to buy flowers for his wife, and he likes to buy the right color that she likes, and he knows which color she likes. And he's very loving, very romantic. He had the roses on his desk since 12 o'clock. It just happened that at 5, he got an email, which led to a phone call, which led to a meeting, which led to 3 hours without texting or calling, and time just got away with. And why doesn't his wife feel loved when he walks through the door with the roses? It's very simple.
And being understanding, right?
Very what?
And being understanding.
Why can't she be understanding? Right, okay.
She probably should
And
be.
by the way, it probably has something to do with the fact that in 2018, you have enough technology available to you to at least tell somebody you're gonna be 3 hours late, right? Okay, so this isn't like, right, this isn't like, this didn't happen in the 90s where, you
She's
know.
not from Richmond Tourist Center. She's not from Richmond Tourist Center. Not judging favorably.
Oh,
It's disrespectful.
You hear what you say?
It is.
But the smart wife
And by the
will
way,
say thank you.
let me give you more details to the scenario. She doesn't even complain.
Yeah, good for her.
Really?
Yeah, no, she doesn't yell at him. No, she doesn't. She doesn't. The only thing is, when he gives her the roses and he expects her to melt, she just doesn't melt. She's not feeling particularly swept off her feet by this gesture at this moment. She doesn't yell at him, she's not mean to him, but he wants to be loving and romantic. She's not feeling it.
No respect for those few hours, that's what it is.
Her lack of respect for his 3 hours.
No, his lack of respect.
His lack of respect, that's right, okay. Because here's the deal. Here's the deal. If his mind, his intention is really on his wife, if the relationship is really about her, and by the way, we could flip it and we could ask if she's devoted to him. But let's look at one side at a time. He wants to know why the roses turn out being received. It's very simple. He did something sweet. He did something loving because he likes to do things that are sweet and loving. He's doing what he likes to do. We all like to do what we like to do. What he couldn't manage is to stop doing something that he wanted to do, to put a limit.
Yeah.
So there's love, yeah, but there's no respect. So that's why she's not feeling the love. So she knows that she has a husband who happens to like doing sweet things, but really, his sweetness has nothing to do with her. His sweetness has to do with he's the Abraham Lincoln of romance. I do good, I feel good. I buy my wife flowers, I feel good. Well, Miss Bird's not about what makes you feel good. It's about her feelings. And you proved that you weren't thinking about her feelings when 3 hours went by and you couldn't communicate. You couldn't stop whatever it was you were doing and either at least go, ideally, stop what you're doing and go home. Or at least stop what you're doing and communicate. No, he couldn't do that. So what do we see? He's not thinking about her, he's thinking about himself. And the irony is that whenever we're in one of these situations where someone's feeling disrespected and the relationship is suffering because of it, what do? What is our natural go-to reaction? We say, oh, what more can I do? What do I gotta do? What do I do? And we want to throw more love at it. And 99% of the time, by the way, you do know that 89.3% of all statistics cited by rabbis are made up on the spot, right? 99% of the time, actually it's 99.2, but it was a different study, I'm just rounding down. 99% of the time, when there's strain in a relationship, the solution isn't to go and find something to do that you haven't been doing. It's to figure out what the hell have you been doing that you shouldn't be doing, and you know what it is, so cut it out. Cut it out, just stop. A little self-containment. Say no to yourself. The most selfless thing you can do for someone is not to say yes to them, it's first to say no to yourself. Then, when there is respect in place, you can be giving, and you can be generous, and you can be sweet, and you can be thoughtful, and all of that will be received really well. Because when you're doing sweet things, the person for whom you're doing it knows that you're really doing it for them. Yeah, not just because you like doing it. I'll tell you, I was one time, I was talking about this same concept, and I said, every single relationship that has love without respect, then not only is it lacking respect, it's actually also lacking love. And a guy, you're going to see it's a Jewish audience I was speaking to in 1 minute. A guy says to me, Rabbi, I have to disagree. He has to disagree, not he wants to disagree. He has to disagree. Okay. Yes, why do you have to disagree? He says, because I can think of a relationship where it's all love and no respect. And I said, what pray tell would be the example? He said, your children. I said, how old is your oldest? He said, 5. Okay, yeah. He'll find out soon enough. Yeah. He'll find out. Okay. So I say to the guy, okay, fine. You're 5-year-old, a boy or a girl? He said a boy. I said, okay. Your 5-year-old boy chick. You come home from work and your little 5-year-old boy, he's sitting on the carpet, he's playing trucks. He has little trucks, he's playing. Okay. And you walk through the door. I said, picture it. You walk through the door and he looks adorable. He looks cute. And you bend over to scoop him up and pick him up. Can you imagine? He's like, yeah, I got it, yeah. And as you're picking him up, he squirms because he was playing and you came in, you scooped him up. So he's squirming. Don't think, just answer me realistically. I will appreciate your honesty. What do you do? And the guy smiles and he says, I hug him anyway. I said, great. You just proved the point that any relationship where there is love without respect not only lacks respect, it also lacks love. How so? Respect means primarily boundaries. Boundaries. I said don't do it and you did it anyway. That's disrespectful. There are certain boundaries I don't even have to tell you about. Certain things that are just inherently violated. Disrespectful. Okay. Whether or not I want to receive physical affection is pretty much an inherent, essential right of every human being, even a tiny child. Now, if a child wants to run into the street, I will grab that child and hold them back, and I don't care if they don't like it, because they don't have the right to run into the street. But if I want to cuddle a child, even my own child, and they don't want to be cuddled, respect it. So I asked the guy, your child didn't want to be hugged. You did it anyway. So then answer me honestly, who was the hug for? Was it for him or was it for you? He didn't want it, so it wasn't for him, it was for you. And that's what I'm saying. When there are no boundaries, when there are no limits, when I can't say no to myself, and therefore I do what you don't want anyway, so then even when I'm engaged in love, it's not love of the other, it's love of myself. You don't love locks, you love yourself. You're not loving this child by cuddling when he doesn't want to be cuddled. You're using this child to give yourself a good feeling. And that's not loving. So without the respect, we don't even have the love. Now I'll just add one more dimension to this, which is our relationship with ourselves. Each of us has relationships with others, and we have a relationship with ourselves. We were told that the most important thing is self-esteem, self-care, self-nurturing. We were promised if we would just say yes to ourselves in every possible way, we would be happy. And self-esteem is worthless without self-respect. If I don't even have limits, if I can't even say no to myself, then all the indulgence in the world is never going to make me feel okay. Let me first know that I have self-respect. Let me first know I have principles, I have boundaries, I do have limits. Not everything that I would like to do I have to do. Then let me nurture myself. Then let me give myself love. And the same thing with our relationship with God. You know there are 613 commandments, 248 do's, and 365 don'ts. 248 do's, 365 don'ts. And if you look at the 10 commandments, 7 out of 10 start with the word lo, start with don't, thou shalt not. I was speaking once in a shul. I won't say where it was. It wasn't San Francisco. It was somewhere in the world. And I'm not going to get any more specific than that. You know? Please, don't tell anyone. Please. It was somewhere, yes, it was in the world. And I was supposed to speak. It was during services on Shabbos. So I was supposed to speak after the Torah reading. I was supposed to give the sermon. And I was walking up to the pulpit, the bima, and the shul emptied out, just cleared out. Everyone was gone. So I asked the rabbi, I said, what's going on here? And he said, oh, it's the Kiddush Club. Now, I've been all over the world. I'm familiar with the concept of a Kiddush Club. A Kiddush Club, whether you like it or you don't like it, it's a thing where some guys will cut out of shul right after the Torah reading, usually during the rabbi's speech. And it's like, it's like the grown-up version of like smoking behind the fence outside of the school playground. It's like rebellious and cool. And they'll go back to the kitchen or whatever it is, and they'll make kiddush on vodka or whatever it is. And that's like the cool thing to do. Okay. But this wasn't like 3 or 4 guys. This was the whole shul emptied out. The whole shul was empty. So I said, this isn't a club. The whole shul is gone. Where? He said, I couldn't fight it anymore. I couldn't fight it. I just made it an official thing. I said, why do they even have to go out? You just do it right here. Put it right. Anyways, it was very strange. Anyway, okay. So finally, everybody comes back in, and I had to speak. So I don't remember what I was planning on speaking on, but I could tell you I do remember what I did speak on. I said to them like this: I've been all over the world. I've seen many different congregations. And this is not my first time seeing a Kiddush club. I've seen many times a Kiddush club. But you know what's funny? I never once saw a Havdalah club. There's Kiddush and there's Havdalah. I never saw a Havdalah club. Havdalah is at the end of Shabbos, the ceremony when you make a distinction between the holy day of the Sabbath and the 6 days of work. How come there's no club revolving around Havdalah? So I told him like this. In the 1930s, there was a rabbi from Lubavitch, from the actual town of Lubavitch. And he was a Rav in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. And if you know what America was like in the 30s, even the so-called Orthodox synagogues were not so Orthodox. Assimilation was a serious problem. I'm saying people came over from the old country and they had a certain nostalgic connection to Judaism, but they didn't really feel like it was viable in the New World. So they were very lax. So this rabbi, Rabbi Kazanovsky, he used to say when he would be asked by the European Jews, what are American Jews like? So he used to say like this. And this he said this in the 1930s, and I think it's as true today as it was then. He used to say, American Jews are interesting. They all make Kiddush, but none of them make Havdalah. Very deep statement. Very deep statement. On one level, what does it mean? It means, literally, comes Friday night, and there's a family dinner, and we make Kiddush. Very nice. Okay. And then, one by one, everybody goes off to do whatever they do. And the next day, this one goes to the shop, and this one goes to football practice, and this one goes to choir, and this one goes to the mall. And by the time Saturday evening rolls around, by the time Shabbos is over, nobody's making Havdalah. So what he was saying is in that first generation of American Jews, they were still making Kiddush, but they weren't making Havdalah. But he meant it also on a deeper level. He meant it like this. They all make Kiddush, none of them make Havdalah. Kiddush is from the word kadosh, holy. When Shabbos begins, we say this day is holy. We sanctify the day. Kiddush is yes. Yes, this is good. This is holy. Let's immerse ourselves into this. Havdalah, you know what Havdalah literally means? Havdalah, literally? Separation. It means a limit. It means boundaries. So they can all say yes. They all know what they like to do, and they do what they like to do. But they have a real struggle acknowledging the parts of Judaism that they don't like to do. You can't always just do what you like to do. Sometimes you have to acknowledge there are things that you don't like to do. Or even a bigger struggle. There are things you really would like to do. And God doesn't like that. God says, do me a favor, please. I'm not okay with it. I don't feel safe with this. I don't feel respected by this. Don't go there. And we tell him, no, God, it's okay. It's all right. I'll do it anyway. So, there's the doing and there's the not doing. When we are in crisis, we have that adrenaline rush, that just an automatic reaction. Fight or flight. But I gotta do something. Either I'm gonna fight, I'll yell at you, or I'm getting the hell out of here, right? But I gotta do something. And those are the two options that an animal has. But human beings have a third option. It's called don't just do something, sit there. Don't just do something, sit there. It's counterintuitive. Because when there's a problem, it's always, don't just sit there, do something. No, not necessarily. In fact, don't just do something, sit there. Be still. It's not what you should be doing that you're not doing. It's what you're doing that you shouldn't be doing. So just be still. Create space. And that's where intimacy occurs. Intimacy occurs in that safe space, where boundaries are respected. Don't confuse drama with intimacy. We can be very loving and doing for each other and doing crazy things for each other. It's not intimate, it's drama. Intimacy is when there is quiet, when there is space. Self-containment. Self-restraint. And nobody even acknowledges it or gives you any credit for it because you're not even doing anything. Okay. I'll tell you one more thing, and that's it. And then I think we're going to eat that dessert, and then we're going to have questions and answers, and then we're going to verbrennen before the morning. I'll tell you one more thing. One more thing is like this. I just want to add on to this paradigm of doing and not doing, because doing and not doing is one way to put it. There's another way of putting it. You know, when a husband realizes that his wife is upset at him, generally 4 to 5 hours after she first becomes upset. Days. 4 to 5 days. New findings suggest it may be days. Yes, correct. And then he realizes that she's upset, right? So then what does he start doing? He starts, what is it? What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Tell me what's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Tell me what's wrong. Why is he badgering her?
No closure. No resolving.
Because he wants a resolution. And how are we going to get a resolution? How are we, what? How are we going to get a resolution?
To talk about it and prove, somebody has to prove they're right and the others
Not
to
about
concede.
proving.
I know, but that's not usually, unfortunately, what they want.
Okay, but even if he doesn't want to prove that.
You wanna know what's wrong, so
Tell me what's
Right
wrong.
now,
Let me
yeah.
fix it. Just tell me what it is. I'll fix it. Okay. It's not that he has to be right. I'll even be wrong. Let me know what I'm apologizing for. Tell me what's wrong. If I don't know what it is, I can't do anything about it. And he says to her, what's wrong? She says, nothing's wrong. Tell me what's wrong. She says, I don't want to talk about it. And then he becomes Sherlock Holmes. He says, it. You don't want to talk about it. So there is an it. Yeah, because if you don't tell me what it is, I can't do anything. If you tell me what it is, I can try to do something. If he continues to badger her, and if she's actually still talking to him, what might she say? She might say to him, look, I don't need you to do anything. I just want you to be there for me. Okay, now I want you to know something. for a man, those words, he knows the meaning of each of those words independently. You put them in one sentence, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
What does that mean, to be there for you? What do you do? Tell me, so what do you do? No, you don't do, you just be. What does that even mean? So I sit here silently. I don't move. I can't, because if I move, then I'm doing something. So I'm sitting here silently, can't move. Sitting in the same room next to a person who's in a bad mood, probably because of something I did. No way. I'm getting out of here. I'll tell you, I'm gonna leave. If you think of something I can do, you text me, I will run back and I'll do it. But don't torture me and make me be here for you while you're in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Okay. But what happens if by some fluke he decides, okay, you know what, this is crazy, this is stupid, this can't work. But, all right, just be there. Okay, fine.
5 minutes,
5 minutes, yeah.
at best.
But even 5 minutes can
It's
start.
good, yeah.
Yeah, well, if you're not looking at your phone, because
Oh,
if you're looking at your phone, it doesn't even count, right? But no, 5 minutes, you just really just sit there.
Working on the same
and-
floor at
No,
least.
just sit there and don't solutionize, and don't try to minimize it, and don't try to fix it, and don't try, just be there. And then something weird happens. She's like, so anyways, tomorrow on the way to carpool, I think I'm gonna stop at my sister's house. And he like hears her talking, she sounds normal, which is calming. But he doesn't want to jinx it, so he doesn't know if he should ask, oh, you're okay now? So, but she sounds okay. And finally, I thought you were upset. Whatever, yeah, I worked it out, it's okay. But I didn't do anything. He didn't need to do anything. He didn't need to do anything. He didn't need to do there for her, he needed to be there for her. So this is what I want to tell you. There's doing and not doing, but another way to say that, this is just what I want to share with you, another way to look at it. There's doing and there's not doing, but another way of looking, it's the same concept, same paradigm, but on a little bit higher level. Doing and not doing is also doing and being. And you can be doing so much that all you know is what you do and you forget who you are.
Yep.
And when you stop doing, you can actually start to be. And this is one of the complaints a lot of times that men have is, what am I? I'm just this machine that goes out and makes money. That's what I do. That's not who I am. Well, give yourself a chance to be who you are. Part of getting in touch with who you are is coming home and just stop. Don't do anymore. Stop constantly. There's a difference between being productive and being busy. Especially today's society, we are so busy, we just don't stop. And even when we come home and we can stop working, we don't stop self-stimulating, we're distracting ourselves, we're just constantly, thank God there's something called Shabbos. Shabbos is, by the way, a feminine day because Shabbos is being, it's not doing. 6 days you do, those are masculine. 7th day is Shabbos, and you just be. Some of us are so uncomfortable with being that Shabbos itself makes us restless because where's the distraction? If I'm not doing, I'm going to go out of my mind. But if you don't have Shabbos, then you don't even have a reason to go out into the 6 days after Shabbos and to go, what are you going into that world for? What's the point of it all? And that's when we come to like this, this crisis where we what's the point? What's it all worth? What did I accomplish? You have Shabbos, you have a day to just stop doing and to just be. It's not about what you do, it's about who you are. Now you remember what life's about, and it gives meaning to going out in the 6 days that follow. So, one of the opportunities that specifically an intimate relationship, a marriage relationship gives us is that, you go out in the world, and this applies to women too. Women go out in the world and you're doing, that's not who you are, that's what you do. You come home and you just be. And there's no act anymore, there's no performance. And that's why a lot of that deep bonding takes place in ways that really is not very interesting. A lot of people try to simulate bonding, They'll tell you about all the things, the activities we do together as a couple. We go to racquetball together, we took a cruise together, and that's nice, and if you enjoy that, go have fun. But that's not real deep bonding. The real deep bonding is two people who can just be there together and
Paradise.
They don't have to talk, they don't have to do anything. There's just a connection that's deeper than doing, deeper than, external activities. It becomes your essence, becomes who you are. Anyways, this is the bottom line. What I want to suggest to all of us is that we live in a society that so much draws attention to the doing and the love and the excitement of it and the action, and that's nice if we have the respect, if we have the boundaries and the space that we give to each other and the self-containment and the ability to be comfortable not doing anything, the ability to just be comfortable being. If all that is in place, we add love into that, and then that's a beautiful formula. Anyways. Okay, so now we're going to eat the dessert. Can we take the cellophane off the thing? Oh.